Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 118 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Richard from ROQ in Washington. Let's go! Shirt show!
Hey there, boo.
Hey there, cutie.
Look at that shirt Kong hat.
Look at
You're
you.
styling so
You
hard.
look tan.
It's
You've been
just the
out
lighting, I
there,
think.
been getting that D?
Every day. Rain or shine.
Cheers. Cheers.
What you got there? Baddest babe in the USA?
Yep.
Cheers, bud.
Mm.
Clink. How's your Labor Day weekend?
It's pretty good so far. I mean, it's, well, it's raining here, so it's not really, you know, that's fine for me because I was hoping it wasn't going to be, I would take this over extreme heat, if that makes any sense. I don't know.
Right.
How about you? How's it going up there?
Pretty good. What did I do? I played games last night with friends at work. And yesterday in the day, I took the kids to Greek Peak, which is like a mountain resort. And we did mountain coasters, which was super fun.
What's that?
It's like a railway that goes down from the top of the mountain to the bottom, and you ride in a little cart, and you like have a break, or like you pull it all the way forward, and you go as fast as you want to go.
You're saying so it's not like it's electric or powered or whatever. It just goes with gravity.
Yeah, like it hooks you at the bottom, and it like pulls you to the top of the hill, and then when you get to the top, it just like lets you go, and you just like you know, kind of like a roller coaster basically, except you're in charge of how fast or slow you go.
Did you ever
You just fucking
tell your kids
push it forward
like, hey, the brakes are broken, start screaming?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh my god, we're fucked. Yeah.
Crying.
Yeah. Yeah, my daughter rode with me, and then my son went by himself, and it was fun. It was a good time.
Check.
Can you hear me?
Are we recording?
Are we? I fucking hope so. Hey, when do I get one of those hats?
Well,
Like Predator.
did you? Oh yeah, you watched it long ago. You know what I'm watching right now?
Right?
The Patient. You know it?
What's that? No.
Steve Carell. Hulu.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, with a guy who was his therapy patient.
I'm not saying anything because I'm not spoiling.
I watched the
anything.
trailer, and then he fucking...
Well, you don't know. You don't know if it's... You don't know.
The trailer shows that, like, the one dude's a creepy fucking murderer.
Don't you hate when the trailer ruins... like so,
Everything?
Yeah,
That's how they do
last night-
trailers nowadays. They give away everything.
Because they have to hook you. But last night I said, hey, Joanne, we're watching this. And I didn't tell her who was in it, what it's about, or nothing. I hit play. And she's like, okay. You know, she goes along. She goes with the flow. She's like, okay. And so I started playing. And then, so she had no idea like what was about to happen. That's what I like. I like that the best. Me personally, like I love when I go to watch a movie, like I sit down to watch the movie and I have no idea even remotely close what's about to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the
I
best.
agree.
But yeah, you should watch it. It's only there's 2 episodes out right now, and then it comes out on Tuesdays. You know what I'm saying? Like you can binge 2 episodes. So there's not a whole lot there, but
Yeah. I got 2
Maybe
big
you
shows
wait.
I'm watching right now. The new Game of Thrones one. And the new Lord of the Rings show.
yeah. How do you watch 2 at the same time?
Not at the same time. I'm just saying they're 2 new shows that I started.
Yeah. So you've started them both,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and you finished them both.
No, they're out weekly.
Okay, so you're watching 2 shows at the same time.
It's not at the exact same time.
Yeah, you have 2 TVs up.
Yeah, it's hard to concentrate.
That would be impressive. Like if you could really do that, you know, let's say because you know, you had to go to bars and there's multiple TVs with multiple games and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you're the guy who can watch movies.
I can do that
like
with my
streaming.
wonky eye.
One eye is on the one.
Yeah, I can just do this, and then I can watch TV over here, and I can watch you right here at the same time.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you. It's
Mhm.
impressive.
Special powers.
It kind of makes sense. It's adding up. So this is what you do every episode, really, is you're sort of like watching TV.
And watching you
And-
at the same time.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, hey, is it busy up there at Upstate?
It's busier. I wouldn't call it busy.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
It'll take a little busier.
I saw your post on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I miss
did, I
those.
posted.
They're a little more few and far between nowadays.
They are, lots of reasons.
Yeah.
But I miss them too, actually. It felt good. To
Hell yeah, really.
journal, if you will. And,
Mhm.
dude, the beer is flowing like wine over here.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny is like I was on, I think it was Facebook.
Mhm.
Every once in a while, I get on my Facebook and I just scroll the feed, and there was
So every once in
literally
a
a
while-
post
You mean like every 20, 30 minutes?
every couple days, maybe.
Okay.
So there was a post in like one of the screen print groups or whatever. I can't remember which one it was, and it had like all the screen racks on the side, and someone posted it, and they were like, and then there was just this fucking like 84 comment back and forth about is it good or bad to do that, and like all this stuff, and it was just like,
Do you mean
I was
the
like, I
post?
fucking hate Facebook so much.
You mean just take your
What you have,
vertical?
the screens that you had, or the frames that you had, yeah, the racks that you had Frank make you,
Yes.
where it's on its side for drying.
Right.
Yeah, somebody posted something like that they made, and they were like, oh, whatever, this is so great. And then a bunch of people were like, oh, it's just racks on their side. Like, fuck you, dumbass. And then
Kill
there's
yourself.
just like, right, you might as well kill yourself, idiot. And then there's some people are just like, oh, it's so bad to do that for your screens. And some people are like, why the fuck would that be bad for my screen? It's just like, it's so toxic and shitty. And literally I got done reading this whole thing and I was just like, I feel dumber. I feel so much fucking dumber to have read all of this.
I feel that.
And then I go to Instagram and the very first post I see is your post with that screen rack.
Well, nobody talks shit on it, although I welcome it because
because it's so much nicer to have a conversation on Instagram than it is
yeah,
to
I see what you're
fucking be
saying.
on Facebook.
Yeah. Generally a true statement. I think however you clean screens, and however you want to dry them, everybody has their own way. And for us, the way they were coming out of the ecotext and the speed that they come out of the ecotext, and where do we store them after they come out? Because we're not talking about like we used to, wash like 10, 20, 30, 40. We're talking about 100 or whatever. or more.
Right, exactly.
And
Yeah.
where do you put all those screens? Because, it used to be before we had that rack, we'd have a rack, and we'd actually dry them horizontally, but we were having issues. And so we would line them up on the ground, and then there was giant water puddles and it was like a slip hazard. And then it's complicated, man. And so we thought, for us anyway, this was the best way to do it. And
I think it is the best. I truthfully think it's the best way.
You want to get the water off of there, fast.
Right. But the other thing is too, is if you do it the other way, if you do it horizontally, the water just drips and sticks in the screen and dries there and leaves fish eyes if you have hard water or, like town water or whatever.
100%. And it drips onto the next screen. The way we have it is the way it drips. You start on the top rack. So you start putting your screens on, the left side, and you go to the right.
Right.
And then by the time you get down here,
They're
these are
done
already
dripping.
dripped. Yeah. So
Right.
it works out really well. We don't even have to put a
that's
fan
smart.
on it because they're spaced out and everything like that. So anyway.
Long story, super long. Keep making posts, Andy.
Oh, thank you.
I just love hearing from you,
Tilley,
bud.
Love hearing from you too.
Mhm.
I await your posts as well with
Mhm.
your dope prints.
Thanks.
True story.
Hmm.
That's how we met.
Yeah,
After all.
I know. I gotta keep that passion alive.
Mhm.
So what? You guys are off tomorrow?
We are. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I just don't know what to do with myself. It's a problem. It's a problem.
So you're
that I have.
saying, what are you saying? Here's what I'm hearing. You have the day off. You don't have to work. You don't have any plans.
Mhm.
And you're
I'm
afraid.
lost.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Mhm.
want me to come up there? You want to come down here?
Yeah.
Right.
Can we go to that steak place? That beautiful restaurant? And we'll
Yes.
cuddle up on the couch and watch TV, watch movies. You could surprise me with a movie if you want.
Yeah, that you just like Joanne, just
hmm
a movie you don't know who's in it.
We'll
or
get
what's
a
it
big
about.
blanket and we'll do sneaky touches underneath.
All right. Well, sure.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
For $3.
That's no
That's
problem.
my rate.
Okay.
3.
It's just for the itch cream. That's how much it costs.
What else do we got? What else happened?
We should talk about how we've been doing a bunch of updates to the shirtshowofficial.com website.
And when you say we, you mean you.
I mean,
I
me.
can't take credit for that. I can't do it.
Well, you initially started the website, so I mean, technically,
Okay. Well, there's that.
and we're a partnership here.
Right.
You know, we're in this together, bud.
Tag team.
So anyway, if you go to the website now, not only can you listen to the episodes, what else is on there? You can look at our partners and the info to get a hold of them.
That was already there.
All already there. But the new stuff is one, there is an events section where I encourage anyone listening to this, please go to the website and there's a contact form on the bottom of that page. If you have an event that's screen printing related or print industry related, send it to us and we'll add it to that. Because what I want this to be is an open board that if you're in this industry and you want to just know like what events are coming up or what things it is that you could go to this page and see all of them. So if you submit it, I'll post it and we'll put it up.
So you're telling me, like, let's say 9 Inch Nails is playing at Red Rocks,
That's not print related.
but they are selling T-shirts there.
That's not the same. Fuck it, send it
Okay.
to me. I'd love to know. I'd love to know if 9 Inch Nails is playing at Red Rocks, which they are right now, I think, right?
You're right. In fact, our friend Ryan Kasperian had tickets last night, and then it turns out he didn't have tickets, and he spent
Why?
7 hours. I just heard the story that he spent 7 hours on the phone with Ticketmaster, and apparently he didn't get to see the show.
It sucks.
It does.
But if there's like a, like, you know, like Print United, like right now, like ISS
Oh, I
Fort Worth
get
is
it.
on there. Print United is on there.
Okay.
Print Hustlers is on there. I want to put some of the bigger ones like Made Lab has on there. Stuff like that. Like anything that's like an industry event that like we want to be able to say, hey, this is there, or an open house or whatever.
Okay.
Submit it and we'll put it on there, and then it could be a resource for everybody. The next thing is there's a section on there that says be our guest. So if you are listening to this show and you know somebody who would be a really good guest for us to have on, or if you really want to be on the show, fill out that form and tell us why you should be on the show, or like a cool story or something that we can talk about on the show, and we'll consider it and maybe hit you up to be on the show. And then the next thing that's coming out is a blog section, which is going to have researched articles by people that are really know their shit about tips and tricks and printing stuff. So I'm trying to make it a resource for everybody in the industry to be able to go to and collaborate and share ideas and stuff like that. So
That's rad.
go do it.
Go do what?
Shirtshowofficial.com.
Okay.
We're sponsoring ourselves.
Cool.
And you can buy merch on there. And there's some new ones coming out.
Yeah. What are we doing about that? Are you printing it?
Yeah. I've got them
Good.
ready. I just got to post
Good.
them.
Yeah. I want, when people get the merch, to know that I didn't do it. Or at least, I don't
figured.
mean that disrespectfully. I mean that complimentary. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Because then
I think it does.
you have no skin in the game. You can't be blamed
Right.
for it being anyway.
When they do a 500 wash test, situation or whatever it's going to be to see if we're up to snuff, like how, if we know what we're talking about. That's not on
You just
me.
don't want to be involved.
No, it's not on me.
Cool, man. Well, I'm not scared.
And that's the thing that I love about you is that your shirts look good.
Yeah,
No two
thanks,
ways
Kurt.
about it. That Explore New York shirt that I have is rock solid gold.
Rock solid gold. That's what I like to hear.
I did
5 stars.
You know how often we print, we'll set up a job. This happened on Friday. What made me think about it is that we set up, I want to say it was probably like a 6 color. And one of the screens was a halftone on top of everything else, to give it some shadowing and stuff.
Right.
And it just didn't look good enough. And it looked good. So it looked good. I think if the person, when they picked up, they'd be like, oh, I love these. These are great.
Right. It just didn't sit well with you.
It didn't. And so we made another screen, one more.
That happens to us all the time.
Swapped it out and took that time, spent the money. And then I saw them pick up and they loved them even more, like extra special love. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They actually asked. They're like, hey, did you switch that out and rip that at 45 LPI instead? Or they were asking questions like that. Mm-hmm. What did you ask? What did you do
differently from the first one?
Ripped it. It was all in the rip.
Like a hot fart.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So I think it's sponsor time.
Hey, can you do me a favor?
What's that?
Don't take offense to this either. Can you?
I'm very sensitive.
I know, and I'm thinking about taking this back.
So put some sugar on it.
Can you take that sticker off your hat?
Nope. Because you know why? Because when I do,
fucking hate when people.
Sticky. Well,
I hate when people leave the stickers on their hat.
Now it's fucking staying for sure. Like 100% never coming off. Because whenever I take the stickers off of these, it's sticky.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Try it. I hope it's not sticky. I hope it's super sticky. Look at that. No stick.
Shit.
No, it is not, you fucking liar.
On your, right there.
Oh, look how much better that hat looks without that stupid ass sticker on it.
Hold on. How can I?
Hey, everybody, just so you know, I have this hat. It's cool and it says snapback on it. Just so you know. Take a stupid ass sticker off. How dare you?
So, here we go.
Okay. Cool. Look at those fucking glasses. God, you're getting hotter and hotter.
Target. They're actually blue.
I can see
You
that.
know why they are? When I got these? Because I went out to dinner when TC was in town and our server had blue glasses. And I'm like, I got to get me some of those blue glasses. Mm-hmm. So, Target.
You look good.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't start reading that without doing that.
I know. That's why I'm waiting. I was wondering what the fuck's going on.
Dude, I showed Joanne the build-up. She laughed so hard.
I was about to start it.
Oh, you want to do it again?
I don't know if I should.
I don't know either. I mean, you can.
All right.
It's your
Let's
call.
just do the regular. Let's do the old school for today.
Yeah. Let's see how that one plays out.
We'll do it every once in a while. Frank.
Dill, it all starts with a screen. And whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the gosh darn best.
Fuck yeah, they do.
To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFFF.
Rank.com.
Or
greatfuckingscreens.com.
By the way, somebody texted me and told me don't go to 4Fs rank.com or something like that.
Because it was like a porno site?
Mm-hmm. Was it 4Fs? Or...
It's just my OnlyFans page.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Somebody told me that. I wish I could remember who, but I can't right now. He also, by the way, builds screen racks, as we just talked about earlier. If you need a screen rack,
Beautiful ones.
they're amazing. They're the best. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know cleaning screens?
Will you whisper it to me?
No, I
wanna
won't.
feel
But I
it.
will talk softly.
I want to feel it in my spine when you tell me.
Cleaning screens is no fun, but Easy Way makes it more funner.
Oh yeah.
That didn't. You got me all like,
Hot and bothered.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will help you keep your screens and your shop clean. Check them out at easyway.com. Easyway.
It's the easiest way.
Everybody listening to this, I'm sorry. You can just hit fast forward through the rest of this if he continues to do that. So
They like it.
I don't know.
I hope.
I mean, they're at work on a Monday morning and they're just trying to get their day going, and the last thing they want is your whispering voice. I think that's probably
Okay, we'll take a
maybe
poll.
that's
Hey, if you like the whispers, leave a comment on YouTube or send it to us in a DM.
we got
I
so
love-
many YouTube comments and YouTube likes, the world record of YouTube. They called us.
Yeah.
We got an award, and not only that, we have to decide the best comment. We said we were going to ship out the mug things. Okay,
True.
So Action Engineering makes all kinds of accessories printers need, like the double roller. Did you see that bad boy?
I did, yeah, for polos
And
zip ups.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So go to Action. If you haven't seen it, go to actionengineering.com to have a look and buy it.
Yeah, even if you're not buying something, go to that website every so often and just see the crazy shit that Eric makes, because they're making some really awesome stuff so that you're in the know when you do need it.
Mm-hmm. Ditto. I ditto that.
Okay, cool.
You know what that means?
Yeah.
Could your shop use a little or a lot of help in the art department? Well, what you want to do is go to 1-900hotstuff.com and get in touch with Nick or Lucas, and Graphics Source will get you the help that you need.
True. I've sent so many people to Graphic Source. They send me a message and they're just like, hey, I'm having issues with this. Can you help me with stepping this, or what are you using, and all this other stuff? And I'll tell them, I'll be like, hey, I'm using this program, but it's a lot of just human talent. Like, Brian's really, really good at doing those things. And I was like, if you're new and you don't know what you're doing, maybe for now, learn that shit on the side at home. But if you're in a pinch, send that shit to a la carte to Graphic Source. Even if you don't want to use the full service, just like they'll help you sep it or help you with art or something.
Ditto.
It's not a huge commitment. Just hit them up and they'll do that one job for you if you need it. And then use them more and more and more until you need the full service.
If when people hit me up and ask me how we make such great
say
swag,
we don't.
and how we okay, next we've got
It's a quick answer, really.
yeah, we just say I don't know.
Fucking beats me.
Yeah.
Right.
Luck. Chromaline, we have a tip for you.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see
You
what
ready?
we got. Yeah.
Chromaline. When hand coating screens, use both hands if possible when coating for a slow, even pressure. The biggest thing is to be consistent. How you coat your screens needs to be as close as possible every time to ensure that consistent, repeatable results. If screens aren't coated consistently, then how can you have consistent exposure times? So if you're coating by hand, get one of those jigs or something, or put it on a table up against a wall so that you can use both hands to get that even coat.
I wish I knew this piece of advice before we got our auto coater, because myself, I coated one-handed.
Mm-hmm.
It was that was how I did it. I held the screen with one and coated with the other. So did Kyle. So did everybody who's coated here, I think. I don't know of anybody who used two hands, because like you said, you have to have that jig where you set the screen in, and I love it. When I see that, I love it. I just never did it like that. And we probably
or you just get an auto coater.
Sure, just get an auto coater. But if you don't, like, let's say that's third down the list and you're getting other stuff before that,
Yeah,
then
do it this way.
It's exactly true. It's very hard to code a bunch of screens. The first 10, whatever, but after that, you start to get a little bit tired, and especially when you're an old guy like me. So,
Right.
Look, if you have any questions or want to learn more about the Screen Room, go to chromaline.com and watch Kevin's videos and learn all about the stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Are we going to look through these comments real quick and pick the best one?
Let's do that.
Okay. That's what I'm doing right now. You start at the bottom. I'll start at the top. And we'll meet in the middle.
I'm not even there. Having trouble with you got a head start. Hold on.
Well, Steve Williams did say best comment on YouTube.
I did see that, and then somebody else said that below his, but I don't think so.
I think, honestly, the best comment would be someone that's contributing and putting in a little bit of knowledge and spice into the comments section. That's how I'm rating the best comment on YouTube. Because, like, how do you gauge a best comment? So, let's see who has shared a little bit.
I think I have mine.
Oh, yeah? Which one's yours?
I like the guy who says, if you send me the glass, I'll mix my shirt paint in it.
Okay, that's it.
You like it?
That one works for me, yeah.
All right. Jeremy Thompson
Okay, Jeremy.
is the winner. Are we going with it?
Yeah.
He didn't
let's do it.
contribute anything like you just said, but
Yeah.
he did say the word paint, which you gotta love.
Yeah. I also like S Life's. It says, I 100% agree with the sponsorship comments. We ran a 7,000 piece order for a nonprofit group that got us some pretty good PR. The good price we gave included participation of the group's volunteers to cart, pull, and stack boxes of shirts. They literally worked for the discount by participating on the entry level positions. So it sounds like they came in and helped him like fold and box and do the order, which I don't know if I would necessarily want to do, but it's kind of a cool story. If you're going to come in, maybe he came in on a weekend or something and just said, hey, I'll come do it if you guys want to help me. So that's pretty cool. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
Yeah. But keep doing that, guys. If you can, give us a thumbs up and comment on some stuff or share on Instagram. That would be super helpful. We love you. Appreciate you.
Felt so good to get those 60
Smooches.
likes. Oh,
Yeah, gave us some love, man. It makes it feel all worth it. When you guys don't like our shit, it just makes me sad inside.
right. Okay, so you know who we have here today with us?
Who do we got today, bud?
Today we are talking with, I want to say Sir. I'm just gonna with Sir Richard Tilley from ROQ. It sounds very like he's been
he's knighted.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I always hear like Richard Branson, and isn't it like Sir Richard Branson now? So I like this.
So
Sir.
Tilley you're comparing Tilley to Richard Branson?
They're exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Pretty much the same
Only,
person, yeah.
I guess a better version probably of Richard Branson.
Richard Branson, right?
Mhm.
Let that son of a bitch in.
Okay.
Sup, sir?
Yo.
What's up, guys? I was at the studio in my office, and on Friday, we had an incredible thunderstorm that took out the electricity and wiped out my internet. So I spent like an hour setting up this beautiful, magnificent studio setting to find out I couldn't connect to the internet and had to rush back home. And I'm here in my office. So here we are.
I'm not complaining about it. It looks like the jungle.
Yeah, it's pretty jungly.
That's cool.
What's
I
up
have
with you?
I have a fake plant right here. You probably can't see it.
I see it.
It's fake though.
Yeah, it does nothing for
I
you.
feel like
but
this is
it looks
very
good.
Anchorman right now, where you're like, I love lamp.
It's I don't know, it's really, really great stuff. But
So-
how have you been? Yeah, how's your
Yeah.
weekend?
How's your Labor Day weekend?
Dude, I just I decided to just kind of chill this weekend. I tend to go all the time nonstop, and I just decided to take a weekend to kind of recharge and just be with my family and not worry about external things. and so I can get back in the game come Tuesday.
Yeah. Aren't you trying to move soon?
Yes, in like 2 weeks. We are moving back
how do
to
you
the
chill
Pacific
when
Northwest.
you have to move in 2 weeks?
Well, that's kind of why I need to chill too. I mean, we're driving back, so it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be like 5 or 6 days of driving.
That's disgusting.
It's going to be interesting though, man.
Are you taking Interstate 70 at any point by chance?
Where's that?
Well, it goes through St. Louis. It's an east to west, pretty big interstate, but it's about in the middle of the country. 80 is one more up from us. It goes like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So you'll probably, I'm guessing you're going to take 80 at one point, because I drove to Seattle before. So I asked. But anyway, if you're coming down 70, we're here. We're here for a little pit stop.
I would love to, because there's going to be a time I'm going to need to get out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
To piss in your parking lot.
Yeah, dude.
Well, yeah, just
on the
take
front
a big
door.
shit out on our porch.
Right.
No, I won't do that.
Yes, you will.
So Dylan and I were having a really intense discussion earlier, not an argument at all or anything, but just, a little chat about something that he loves. And I don't really like it, but he loves when there's like the sticker on the bill right here. How do you feel about that?
That's actually a really good question. So just recently I had the same debate with myself on whether I still liked it or not. And I ended up removing the sticker, but
fuck yes. Yes, Richard.
But I think it just comes,
Yes.
For me, it just came with like, all right, I need to upgrade my outfit a little bit. Having the stickers and all that stuff on there was something that I used to do, and I can't be like that forever.
Right, because you leveled up from doing dumb shit to smart shit, right? Because
Having
stickers is so 2020. Like, it's just not
I think
anymore.
it just lets everybody know the hat is fresh. You know what I mean? Like, even though it may not be, I've seen some that aren't very fresh. And then some you peel the sticker off later and you see the ring.
Yes. See, mine has
or you just
residue.
fucking peel it off when you first get the goddamn hat.
Mine has
the things that happen is it leaves adhesive behind, and then sometimes you'll see like a dust ring.
Fuck yeah, thank you.
You know what I mean? And that I can't deal with at all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Whatever.
But if you haven't seen, there's Key and Peele do a little bit on it, by the way, and they keep upping. They keep upping their game, like more and more and more of what they have. Like the one guy has a bag where he bought it.
He still had it in the bag, so it was so fresh. I think the one that ended up winning was the one that had the seamstress sewing the hat on his head. Like that was the freshest hat.
Right.
Yeah. Well, hey, check it out. Little known fact. Okay, so on baseball hats, they have that little baseball, the reflective baseball on the bottom. And then on the top, it has the size, right? Well, if you put your thumb on the baseball and your fingers on the actual sticker size, you actually never touch the hat and you never get it dirty with your hands. And they're placed in such a way where you can do that.
That's a pro shop hack right there.
I've been a hat guy for a long time.
I wear a hat every day of my life, and I just I wear one until it's disgusting and gross, and then I throw it away and I get another one.
Yeah.
Well,
that's just how it works.
Yeah. But you keep it fresh as long as you can. It's just kind of the...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this one's probably sweaty and disgusting, and I washed this one a few times, by hand with a scrub brush. And
okay.
Yeah. I have fucking a large sweaty man. It gets gross. Okay. You got to wash it.
Yeah. I do the same thing.
Well,
especially the front band, sometimes it gets a little gross. Sure. You got to give that a little love.
Yeah.
But if it's
See,
black,
you don't have a giant head, Tilley, though, but do you ever tuck your ears in your hat?
They're tucked right now.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
I could never do that in a million years.
I'm an ear tucker.
Okay, that's cool. All right, well, it was good. Thanks for doing this podcast with us.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to talk about hats and ears for a little while. I feel like everyone knows you, but not everyone knows you or your story, or because I feel like you're all over the place. You're at ROQ, you're fucking in Iron Man gym, fucking doing all this crazy shit all the time. Do you want to kind of a little bit of background of what you're doing right now, how you fit into everything?
Well, man, I like to call it like life by design. I'm like a multi-layered person, and I love screen printing. And since being on the backside of that, I love that side even more because it helps me understand how screen printing works even more by understanding the mechanical side of it and the technical side of it. And, ROQ isn't who I am, but it's what I do. So everything that I do, I like to like really, really do it. You know what I mean? Like if I'm going to commit to giving energy to something that I love, I'm going to give it love. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
You're going to dive into it.
Yeah, I'm going to go all in. So with the community, I love the screen printing community. I love learning from people. I mentioned a lot that like when I travel around, I'm just on like a data collecting mission. I'm learning from everybody's shop that I'm going into, and I'm just absorbing all this like knowledge and helping other people. When I go to their shop, like, hey, I could take somebody who hasn't printed at all and have them printing like a high level printer in a matter of like a week. You know what I mean? Just because I observe like the techniques and things that these people do. So I give all my energy to that and I love it. And then with fitness, like my health is like they say, your body's your temple, man. Like this is all I have to hold me for this entire lifespan that I plan to live. And so I need to take care of this thing. It needs to be mobile. I've watched like my grandpa die at 77 just because he was so fucking lazy. Like he would just lay on the couch when he'd come home from work and like all weekend just watch golf on TV. And then I met another 77-year-old man when I was at the gym in the sauna one day. I'm like, dude, like, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 77. I've survived a heart attack. And I'm like, how are you like you? And I see him in the gym moving and shaking. I'm like, how are you doing that? And he's like, dude, I just never stopped moving. And that always stayed with me, that conversation I had with that dude. So I've always just like stayed active, and that's really important to me. And then same goes with my family, dude. Like they're super, super important to me. So like they get all my love and what comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's step back then. How did you get started in the industry and how did you get involved?
When I was in my early 20s, I was like super strung out on drugs. And I think I was like homeless. I was living in some dude's garage on like a futon covered in spiders. Like that's just the best he had. He's like, hey man, like you can, that's
he
what
had
you
spiders
got.
in a futon.
Yeah, it was disgusting, man. I like looking back. Anyway, so I slept on this damn thing, and he comes in the garage one night and he's like, hey man, you want to start a clothing company? And I was just like, oh, fuck, I'm not doing anything else. Like, yeah, let's do anything, And so we knew this graphic artist that was like a professional skateboarder. And so we would go drive out to Riverside, which was about 30 minutes from where I lived. And we go pick this dude up and bring him back to the house and be like, all right, these are our ideas, make them digital. You know what I mean? Like make them real. And so he'd get on Photoshop and I would just observe how he did everything, how he made layers and masks and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, I see what he's doing. And so I would just study him, and we were like, okay, so now how do we put these on shirts? And like the designs we were doing I didn't know about screen printing at the time. I just knew about, hey, I had this cool idea. Here's a design for a shirt. And so the type of designs we were doing were not screen printable. Like they were so like beyond screen printing. They weren't just stencil style prints. And so we were trying to figure out a way to do it. And at that time, there was this company called like T-Jet, I want to say it was called, these red DTG machines. They had just came out, and we fucking ran up our credit like 30 grand, and we got this machine and we started printing these shirts, but like the print area wasn't big enough. It was like really like, just like a 16 by 20 or whatever. And we were like, man, we want, like at the time, the streetwear scene, everyone was doing like full prints, like they were screen printing, but they were going onto the sleeves. They were like the full thing, man. This was, early 2000s. And so we were trying to compete with that, but with like next level design. So I took the machine and I went to Home Depot and I made this plexi board that was like the full length of the shirt. I went in the software and stretched out what it was capable of doing. And I just started printing these badass designs on like full designs on DTG. And then we were like, okay, now we have all these designs. We have people that want to buy them. How do we get them into stores? So we figured out how to do that. And then I went to all the local store owners in the malls and all that stuff. And we were like, hey man, we want to sell our shirts in your store. Matches kind of what you guys got going on. And they were like, okay, we're going to wholesale them at $8. And I was like, dude, it cost me like $16 to make this shirt. Like, there's no way I'm going to wholesale it to you for half. And
did you like bring in a bunch of shirts? And
dude, we went all out, dude. Okay, so you know those like racks where you put the hangers and then you can zip over like a cover over it. We came in with brochures. We were like really trying to like come like legit, you know. And
I was hoping you just went in with like a trench coat, like you were selling watches.
No
like you
way,
opened it
man.
up and you're like, hey.
Yeah, it was like we were serious, man. Like our website was dialed in, like everything was really good, man. And so we go into this store, we try to sell these designs. Obviously, that wasn't going to work out because they couldn't make it make sense. So I kind of went back to the drawing board at that time, and I was like, dude, like how do I do this for cheaper, you know? And then I think screen printing, I don't remember exactly how it came across, but screen printing came across the table. And I was like, all right, let me figure out how to get one of these machines. Did the same thing, ran it up on credit, spent like $10K on a setup, and then just started printing. Like I started learning how to screen print, like making screens in the backyard. And, you know, the one of the bedrooms in the house was the dark room and that whole nine, like everyone else, you know? And I just printed. I just kept printing and printing and printing. And then eventually me and that guy split up and I did my own thing where I was printing my own designs. And what I would do is I would drive out to the garment district in LA and I would go up to all these little stores that were in the garment district and be like, hey, these are my designs. I got a small through a 2X. I'll leave them here with you. I'll come back next week. Whatever sells, I'll replenish the stock and I'll collect my money from what sold. And I just did that while like 24, 25 years old, did a lot of that. And it just was like, I got tired of like having to like eat everything I killed that day. You know, like it was like exhausting, just constantly chasing this shit. And then I got introduced to another business and I was in that business for like 10 years and I did really, really, really well in that business. And then
what happened back with the other dude and like the T-Jet and all that stuff? Did that just kind of like fade away and you paid it off? Or
well, the thing is we were both really motivated at first. And I'm glad you asked this question. We were really motivated at first to like really build this project together. And we had people making music videos. We were sponsoring dirt bike riders. We were doing like all the things you were supposed to do. And I noticed that I was leaning further into it because it was getting me sober. Like I wasn't using or drinking. I didn't care about none of that stuff, man. I was like all in on this shit. And so I was like getting better.
Your addiction was that
it switched from something super negative to something really like beneficial and positive for me. And so I just like really leaned into this graphic design stuff and like designing and figuring out how to do e-commerce and make brochures and wholesale and getting vendors and resources. Like I was building all these things. And he was just getting up later and later and later each day to the point of where like he was getting up at like noon or 1 o'clock. And I'm like, dude, I've been up since 5, like crushing it. Like I can't just carry the weight all the time, you know? And then I think that I ended up starting my own project on the side just to see like if I could take everything that I learned from this project and just condense the time, how fast I can launch it. That was kind of like my idea.
Right. If you could do it on your own and didn't need a partner.
Yeah, that way I'm not like, there's not this codependency, you know what I mean? And so I was like, dude, let me just, I don't need this guy to like get me where I'm trying to go. I got this on my own.
Right.
And so I just did that and it exploded like in the local area fairly quick. And then there was like, hey, he's like, this is like a conflict of interest, man. Like, I don't really like what's going on here. And I was like, look, man, I'm tired. I can't wait on you. Like I'm building something. I have momentum. I'm going to go. And so I ended up going and getting my own little warehouse and, you know, we ended up going separate ways and he kept the DTG and I took all the screen printing stuff.
That sounds like you made out.
Yeah. And how did you know how to do all of that stuff? Were you just like on the fly making it up as you went along?
Everything.
Or did you have, you know, like background in this and that sort of thing, like launching a business or a brand?
No, dude. No, I was just like, just give me the pieces and let me figure it out. And I would just ask people questions and I would watch. And at the time there wasn't YouTube to be like, hey, here's how you do it, ABC. Like it was, I really had to figure it out, you know? And I think the way that I learned how to like burn screens and stuff, which was like one of the hardest parts for me, was I had this guy that I went to. He owned a screen print supply shop in Riverside, and we just became really good friends. And he would just burn my screens, and he got so sick of seeing me there all the time. He's like, "Look, dude, just come in and burn your own screens. Like, don't even worry about paying me. Like, just." And he like kind of taught me little by little how to do it. And then I started, you know, getting my own little setup and doing it at home.
You know, I think it's really interesting. I don't think that you can teach entrepreneurship, honestly. I think that, well, let me step back. I think you can. You can teach somebody how to do it, and they can be maybe, I think maybe they can be successful, but I don't know if they'd really like it. And I don't know how successful they really be. Or let me put it this way. I think that they would be, the chances, the probability for success would be way greater if it's just more of like this natural talent. And I don't necessarily mean all like at birth or something like hereditary, but something in your childhood or your adolescence, or something that maybe, adversity when you're young, or whatever that is, whatever that component is, there just has to be something that's in there that just makes you want to have your own business and be good at it and be successful at it, because I just think it's really tough to teach. What do you guys
I think you just need to be, on your point, I think you just need to be hungry. Like you need to be, it's just like Tilley was saying, him and that other dude, like he was up at 5, had the drive to do this. And the other dude was kind of like what is it called there? The beginning of the project was over. You know what I mean? That sparkle wore off, and you actually had to like put in work. And Richard wanted to keep doing it, and this other dude was kind of just like, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yeah, but for some reason, Richard, it was in him. Like he just, like you said,
right,
okay,
that's
sure, that's one of the things, he's hungry, but something else was there that made him successful at it and the other person not. And so I think I don't know that it can be taught. I think that something's there. You know what I'm saying?
There has to, like every type of person has to exist. So like you have to have the people that are willing to do these shit jobs. You have to have the super uber successful entrepreneurs, the Jeff Bezos. Like you have to have, every style of person has to exist. And for me, and the way that my DNA is formed or whatever, what motivates me and all that is entrepreneurship. Like, even if I keep falling, boom, boom, whatever, man, just get back up and just get back, take the lessons you learned from that last situation and move forward, keep going. And for me, it's like something that's like in my soul, that's in my heart, that's like won't allow me to do anything else other than be an entrepreneur. And even working with ROQ, I know it seems like, hey, you're working at a job, but dude, there's so many things that are happening that are entrepreneurial moves that I'm making on a day-to-day basis. It opened up huge doors for me. You know what I mean? And I don't take advantage of those situations. I look at those situations as opportunities for me to help that person, opportunities for that person to help me, or even if I can find opportunities for people to help each other that may not have known each other at one point in time. Like there's always something going on. It's not just me going out there, building a machine and taking off. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing like that.
Right. You're networking like crazy.
Yeah, and it's giving me that opportunity. It's flying me all over the country. It's putting me into the spaces. It's my college. I'm in my screen printing college right now, and I know it,
Mm-hmm.
So was it hard for you to go from being self-employed, being your own boss, let's say, to working for somebody again, because I feel like I've been my own boss for so long. I don't know at this point if I ever could, although I would love to. Like if M&R called me, or even ROQ, I don't know if they would, but like if somebody called me and said, hey, would you rep, let's say I sell Shirkong and they hear that I'm looking for work, would you rep or would you come to work for our company? I don't know. It'd be so weird to have a boss at this point, because I've been doing this for so long. Was that hard for you, making that transition?
I still run into little challenges here and there. But I've had conversations with Ross where he kind of put some things into perspective for me that really changed like how I thought of the situation. For me, I'm always used to like not having to wait on an answer to do anything. It's like, yo, this needs to get done. Boom, 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 boom. I do what it needs, and whatever it is, it gets done. I don't have to talk to anybody about it. I don't have to answer to anybody. That part has been a little bit more challenging. Because I think that I do move at such a high pace because of just how I'm bred. When people don't move at my pace, it becomes frustrating because it's like, look, something that could take 2 minutes is taking us 3 days just to get a response on an email and approval and all this other BS. I'm like, look, I could have had this done. It could have been in the bag 2 days ago. Instead, we're still dealing with it. And he's like, Ross, when he says like, look, man, you're missing out on an opportunity to teach people how you do what you do. instead of like me just getting frustrated with them. It's like, look, this is a teachable moment. Just look, this is how we can move this, streamline this process instead of it, being dragged on like this. And so he's been kind of like helping me understand that in that sense. But the beauty of working there is they allow me to still express myself as an entrepreneur. Like anything that I want to do inside the company, they're like, yeah, dude, we'll give you the resources. It's up to you to make it happen and make it real, and I think that that's been super rad, because I don't think that I've really seen that in other organizations where they're like, hey, if you got an idea, let's put something behind it. Let's see what happens. That doesn't really happen that much.
Like, what have you done for them like that?
Well, for
like,
instance,
I know you
my
kind of
print
did
world,
like a little bit of a podcast.
Yeah, I was doing my podcast thing. Like they invested like a ton of money to get all the equipment for me to just do that, because I said, hey, I really have this idea that I think that would do some good, not only for like ROQ in itself, but the screen printing community. I can have these like next level conversations with these big guys that I know and maybe help some people out. And they were like, man, that's a great idea. Here you go. And we figured it out. And I had a studio. I still have a studio, So it sounds like
if it's the right company, if it's the right fit, let's say, then that transition's doable, so like, just like you said, I can't imagine working for somebody and wanting to go at my pace, let's say, but like being slowed down or shackled by like somebody else's decision, or told no. Like, what if I had an idea like, oh, I think if we did this, this is what we need to do. Like, this is going to really, really work. And then they say no, like they don't approve it. It would crush me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'd be like, no, I've got to do this. I've got to try it.
Well, the thing is,
So like,
working here, they would give you that, they would give you the chance to do it and see what happens with it. When let's say something doesn't come from it. Well, now we have all this equipment or whatever it is that we didn't have before that we can use for another project down the line, so it's pretty cool still.
Makes me think that I have to make sure that I do that for my team. When somebody comes to me with a project and says, I think this will work, then I have to let them go do it. And also what would slow them down is if I get involved in it. You know what I mean? If it takes me to get involved in the project, I have to trust, in other words, I have to trust that they're going to do a good job. And if something goes wrong, that they'll fix it and, pivot or adjust or whatever they got to do to run with the project. I have to trust in them. And so it sounds like they trust in you.
They trust in everybody. There's a lot of people that are working remotely, and this company seems to be working really synergistically between departments. Everyone is kind of really familiar with each other and schedules, and they do really well at communication. And I think that that's one of the company's super strong points between the staff is that we can work together in like these weird situations, and there's complete trust in everybody to just do what they're supposed to do. And what's great about it is I think that the talent that's been selected, they're not the type of people like myself. I don't like to be micromanaged. Don't ask me what I'm doing. Like whatever the mission is, I'll get it done and I'll submit it to you when it's done, and I'll carry on to the next thing. There's a lot of people like that inside this organization that do not need to be micromanaged. And I think it's really dope.
I feel like that's such a huge part of any business, regardless, is to trust your employees and let them be creative and let them figure shit out. Is because if it was just up to me to do everything around here and figure every process out all the time, like I'm just one person and I have my way of doing things. And it's like my way isn't always the right way. So like if, anybody like Chris or whatever has an idea of like how to streamline something or how to do something better because he fucking is in that position all day, every day, and I'm not, then I trust him to know the right answer. Like, I don't want to walk out there and be like, this is how you should do shipping, receiving or whatever. And he's gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? Like, you're not even here.
Yeah.
Plus he may be even better suited to do that thing. Like, you're really good at the stuff that you do, and you're supposed to, as a shop owner or a leader, to surround yourself with people that,
right,
that are good at things that you're weak at, so that it just makes your whole place better. And so you're getting in the way sometimes. And
you shouldn't really, you should never really build a business for you to have to be in the mix all the time.
True.
I don't think that that's an effective strategy, because the second that you're not available or you're not there, things are going to fall apart. So you really have to have that in mind from the beginning, is like, I need to put people in places that I trust to do their job to the highest capacity.
Yeah, I agree. So you did the clothing line thing, and you said you started to say you got hired by somebody else to just work at another job instead. What was that?
Well, so a buddy of mine came by my warehouse to buy some clothes, and he's like, "Hey, man, an old roommate of mine wanted to get together and just kind of like show me what he's doing for work. He's like, he's building this empire, and he's like, hey, man, I think that you'd be a good fit for the team. We want you to just come check it out." And I said, all right, set up the lunch date. I'll go down there. It was in Corona. I drove from Riverside to Corona. I walked in this guy's office, and it reminded me of the movie Boiler Room. Have you seen that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it was just people on the phone closing deals, the bell on the wall, just numbers on the board. And I'm like, wow, this is a madhouse in here. Like, there's energy in here. And so I go talk to my buddy Wayne. I'm like, man, what is this, dude? And he's like, dude, we're doing debt collections. And I was like,
not what I was expecting.
I was like, wow, man. Like, yeah. So they're doing debt collections, right? And he's like, man, Richard, you got to jump in here, bro. Like, we're making hand over fist cash. Let's get you in here. And I was like, man, like I was telling you, I was tired of, having to eat everything I killed that day. And that was getting like exhausting. And I lived at my shop. I didn't have an apartment. I didn't have a home to go to. So I would like design during the day and do my production and go out to LA and do like, it was just nonstop. I was living in this warehouse. I got burned out on it. And so when I saw these people making money that we're making, it was obviously enticing. So I jumped in on it, and I gave them 6 hours of my day from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. was all I gave them, 5 days a week. And the rest of my time was mine. And I freaking sucked, man. Like I sucked. And I was like 2 months in, and I'm just like, bro, I'm just not.
What did you have to do?
Me. You have to call people. And so the way that our system works is we worked on behalf of an attorney's office. So they would send out these like letters. It's been a while since I've done this, but
like a collection letter?
An offer of settlement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but this is like legit, like where it's on its way to court. Litigation is being filed. It's going in that direction. So you'd have to call and just try to get them to just settle. Like, look, right, man, you can avoid all this. You can avoid a bank levy. You can avoid, wages garnish, all this good stuff. We can just settle this for X amount today. Let's wrap this up. And I was just really bad at it, man. Like, I don't know what it was, but I fucking sucked. And then like, I remember there was somebody that was on speakerphone. Like the day I was like telling Wayne, like, all right, man, I appreciate it. Thanks, but no thanks. I got to get out of here. And somebody was on speakerphone, and they were like, look, Richard, give it one more try. I guarantee you'll never want to do anything again for your life, for the rest of your life. And I was like, all right, man, whatever. So I give it another shot.
Let me guess.
And
did they tell you what was your collection's name? Did they tell you to change your name?
Yeah. So I've had a few different aliases through the years. Mind you, I was in the business like almost 10 years. So, what I found is the secret sauce is 2 first names. So my name was Steve Thomas. All right. So there's Steve Thomas. I had Royce Evans. I had Jordan Chase. Dude, there were so many of them. I don't know. There was just like, but Steve Thomas was a killer, man. And so, anyways.
So what did the name have to do with anything? I don't understand.
That's super important. Yeah.
It's important,
Why?
Well, for one, you're calling these people like asking them for money. You don't want to give out your true identity. And it's actually within the rules of the game to give yourself an alias. It's okay. It's not like frowned upon. It's actually part of like,
right, but why did that dude with 2 first names, why was that helping you so much more?
It just rang. It just connected. Like, it was just something that like stayed with them.
Yeah, it's like Ricky
Bobby.
Bobby.
You were a character.
Yeah, you develop a character. Some characters I had like a country accent. Jesus. Depending on if I was like in New Jersey, I might have been a little tougher with them. How they kind of go back and forth with the banter and all that stuff. Like it's just you have to know the area that you're calling, and you kind of you do what's called match talking. And the way I would do this is I would let them, when they answer the phone, I would listen to like the first sentence, and then I would just talk however they talked, whatever their dialect was. And like, so I would just match that. So you're like this familiar person to them because you're talking the same language, and you just build this trust with them, and then you can kind of go from there.
My mother,
but it became challenging at times.
I was going to say my mother, she and her husband, my stepdad, had a business, and whenever they had to do collections. My mom, that was her responsibility, and she made up the name Barbara Davenport for some reason.
Yeah.
And used that.
Davenport was a good one.
When I did inbound and outbound telemarketing when I was in high school and then first year of college. And we always had different names, you know. I don't know. I don't know why.
It's
I guess
so skeevy to me. It's so like, I get the debt collection thing is like, I don't know. Are a lot of these people that you're calling, like, it seems like a lot of them have to be hard up. Like they don't want to pay. Like obviously they're in that situation. Like,
well, I mean, what the thing is once it gets into the scary zone where it's like, all right, dude, like you had your opportunity. Now it's getting serious. Now we can talk about wage garnishment. Now we can talk about a judgment against you that's going to sit on your credit. Now you're going to be dealing with all this BS you don't want to deal with. And so once you get to that point, it's like, okay, I can't run and hide from this anymore. My back's against the ropes now. Right. So like, what do I do?
Right.
You know, so
Steve Thomas comes out and cracks his knuckles and says, hey, pay up.
You know, there was more to it than that. We had a nice, there was a script that we followed that was it was like a setup, you know, it's just boom, boom, boom. It's all psychological and then get you to.
You want to hear my name? I've got one. I was thinking about it.
Let's go.
Andy Dillon.
So it's terrible.
See, the thing is that right there would stick with them.
Yeah.
And then you would be, hey, let me speak to Andy Dillon, extension 311, please.
So anyway, this fucking guy comes on speaker and tells you you'll never regret it, and then you made up some fake names and you never regretted it.
No, well, the fake names had already been going on.
Okay.
That was from the very beginning. And what's funny is, the funny thing is the very first name that they gave you the name at this place. You didn't get to pick yours. The very first name they ever gave out was Mike Jones. So everybody in the room was saying, my name is Mike Jones. Like it was interesting because I was like, you know who Mike Jones is, right? But they used that for a long time. But so anyway, so I did that for like 2 years working for this guy. And then I just opened my own. And for the next 6 years, I ran my own. And it was wildly successful, like super crushed it.
You ran your own debt collection place?
Yeah. So from like 2 years after I started with him in like 2009. So like 2011 up until like, I don't know, 4 years ago, maybe something like that. I ran my own debt collection company and, dude, like our first 6 months in business, we did $2 million. And then it just kept growing every year. Like there was months where we were taking home like $500,000.
So are you just getting a chunk of what they're paying back? Yeah.
So the way that we did it, I know this is like totally not shirt related, but
dude, I don't care. This is interesting as fuck to me that you guys are making up fake names and taking money from people. So
there's so many levels to this, brother. So what we did was let's say Chase Bank, you owed Chase Bank $1,500 on a credit card. Chase Bank has X amount of years to try to collect on it internally. Once they deem it, irrecoverable, they'll go ahead and they'll sell it to a broker. For pennies on the dollar. So let's say that $1,500 that you owe them, they now sell that debt for $100. I come along, I buy it for $100. I now own the chain of title to that debt. So that means it's my debt. You owe it to me, the entire $1,500. Even though I bought it for $100, you still owe me the $1,500.
I get it now.
Now, granted, there's been interest accrued over X amount of time since the charge-off date, which is your last payment date. So whatever your last payment date was, every month, 24.99% interest rate is what I would tack onto it until it reached my hands a few years later. Now that $1,500 just turned into $2,500 to $3,000. And then I go ahead and collect that $3,000 and make $2,900 on the gig. Right. Is how it works.
I get it.
And so we would buy portfolios with multiple millions of dollars of debt at one time. So a $10 million portfolio I would buy for, let's say, 40 to 50K. I always had a 6 times return on it. So I would get 300,000 in return. I would reinvest, pay everybody that needed to get paid, and the rest is mine and my partners.
I think once ROQ gets wind of this, you might have another role there too. So
yeah, debt collection on presses.
Like you can, because you're really good at this. Like I'm like entranced listening to this. Like wow.
So now I'm really curious as to why leave that then. Why go from that back to screen printing?
Yeah, that's for me. It was something that had to be done. You got to understand, not to like knock anybody, everyone in this world is going through their own struggle, just trying to make it through this journey, like the next man. But the quality of people that you have to surround yourself with to do that type of business, it could be exhausting because the type of personalities that you're dealing with on a daily basis. And mind you, at our peak, we had 5 offices with 30 people in each office. So there was on average about 120 staff that we had to maintain and manage. And with five offices came 5 managers, assistant managers. And it was just like, every morning I would wake up. I still had the same schedule before. Man, I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'd look at my phone and I have like 20 fires I have to put out because it was just always something in every office. Someone's trying to sue you, servers down, this happened, that happened. It was just nonstop. And not only that, the type of people, like I was saying, it's like people who are very bad with money. So they're constantly, hey, Rich, can you lend me like for another week? Can you spot me? Can you do this?
Right.
And then on top of that, because we were making so much money, the people that were closest to like my partner and I would sit there and pocket watch. So if I was buying nice things, my partner was buying nice things. We earned these things that we bought and we paid our people well. They had a base salary of $6,000 a month plus 5% of whatever they collected. So if they collected, $250,000 in that month, man, they're taking home $18,000 as a manager. Like we were taking care of our people and it was just never enough, dude. It was just like, oh, I need more. And it just got, I don't know, man, it just wore on me.
Yeah.
And then not to mention, like, I'm in my late 20s, early 30s, making just hand over fist cash. Like, and this is not something that I came from, it's not something that was normal to me. It was always something I had dreamed of. So it was like, I had this like Scarface mentality where it was like, I had to have fucking this and that and the biggest ego in the world, bro. And then that led into like this party life that I wanted to live, Mr. Baller, bottle popping, throwing money, all that dumb shit. And then it was the drugs. The drugs came back into my life again, and I lost my mind, bro. Like I had access to anything I wanted at any time. Like it was available to me. And unfortunately for me, the money just expanded who I was inside, which was an evil piece of shit. And I was just this fucking guy on a rampage, man. And my wife, like, I can't even go fully into how that fucking situation laid out, but she was like, we got to get you the fuck out of here now, man. Right. So we left California and we went to Idaho. And before I left California, I put a number on my partner's desk. I said, this is the payout, man, to get me out of this situation. Obviously, we couldn't make it happen in one lump sum. So we worked out a deal, paid me out over a year. I took a year off from just working and being that entrepreneur, my mind going crazy. And I worked on myself. And I used Idaho to kind of find my soul. That's like really where like I started getting in nature, getting in the water, like really like separating myself from the matrix,
Why Idaho?
That's where my wife's family was.
Okay.
And so it was just a peaceful place to be. And it was in Coeur d'Alene, which is like the most beautiful part, So that's really where like I just started finding myself. And once I figured out how to like stop being a piece of shit, and like I tried to kill myself when I was in Idaho. That was kind of like where like I think I just had a huge culture shock. And I was still kind of like bringing those habits with me. I found drug dealers up in Idaho and I was doing the same thing up there, man. It was still just like, it wasn't over with when I got to Idaho. But
it didn't leave you.
Yeah, it followed me there for sure. Whatever that demon was, man, it came with me. And that's where I was like, dude, I can't win. I lost everything. My wife had kicked me out. I'm living in this apartment by myself. I'm not making any more money anymore like I was. Like I just got reduced to just nothing, man. And I remember just like I text my mom like, dude, I'm not a good human anymore. Like my daughters deserve fucking way better than this. And my wife, like she can't even look me in the eyes anymore. And like I was like, I'm done. Like spiritually, like
what
I'm
saved
done.
You?
Well, that night, dude, it was New Year's Eve. I did it, the most drugs I've probably ever done as fast as I could because I wanted it to end. And I remember laying in my bed, and this is when I had text my mom that last text, and I just laid back and I could just feel my heart it's like I could feel it coming out of my chest. And I just closed my eyes and I thought that was it, And I woke up the next day, and when I woke up, I was just like I wasn't meant to die. And I knew right then and there, all of it was done. It was done. We're not doing this shit anymore. I locked myself in my room for like 2 or 3 days. And then I didn't answer anybody's calls. I just stayed there, just stayed in the quiet. And then when I came out, I went and my daughter was born. So I was still fighting this like same demon just days before my daughter was born. And I promised myself that she would never know me to be like that, like my other daughters did. And she hasn't. So
hell yeah, dude.
That shit was wild.
Yeah. So you got cleaned up, refreshed, daughter's born. What's next?
Okay. So I had this collection of cars, man, that I had accumulated through my time. And one by one, they were kind of dwindling away, you know, and I had one car left. It was this 66 Coupe de Ville that I fully restored, show car, fucking rebuilt the engine. This thing was brand new. And I sold that, and I used the skills that I had in my collection world to close a deal on somebody who's going out of business in screen printing. And I bought their whole shop for like $5,500. Like he was asking for like nearly 20 something thousand. And it was just a manual press, 8-color, 8-station, and just everything, inks, chemicals, tables, garments. There was like 1,000 shirts. There was like all kinds of stuff, everything you needed. He just wasn't making any money, and he wasn't good at sales, and he wasn't good at doing it. And so I sold my Cadillac, and then I bought that dude's printing business. And I remember like telling myself like, all right, if you could do it differently this time, what would you do? And instead of me trying to hawk my own designs, I was like, let me print for other people so I can at least create a solid revenue stream, instead of like doing what I did before, trying to like, hey, my shit's cool, buy it. My shit's cool, buy it, and try to build this whole community.
The
and
hustle
like,
all the time.
Yeah, dude. So it's like, if I'm just printing for other people, I know that I can get that going. That's no big deal.
Right.
So what I did was I started an Instagram, and this is the same Instagram I'm using now. For my Ink Lab project. And what I did was I went into all the different screen printers in the area, and I looked at their Instagrams, and I was like, all right, let me see what he's doing, what she's doing, what they're doing. Let me just observe the spectrum. And I was like, these people are lazy online. I got this shit. So I was like, I'm just going to go 10 times harder than they've ever fucking seen. And by the time they even realize what I've been doing, they're so far behind that they can't catch up. So I just blitzed the scene, man. And I told myself I was going to conquer this sector of my area, or my realm. And I did, man. I took over that shit.
So what were you doing when you, first of all, it's kind of interesting to get that perspective of like having screen printing, having a clothing line, doing that whole thing, getting involved, getting out of it completely, doing a totally different business, which actually like had to have leveled you up. Like you said, like that skill of selling, I feel like you got from the debt collection, to then be like, fuck it, restart. Now I'm going to do screen printing again as a fresh set of eyes, and having the knowledge now that you have in sales. Was that your focus when you went into it? Did you do everything? Were you like sales half the day, printing the other half of the day? Everything. No employees?
So it was my wife and I. Yeah, it was my wife and I. She was day one. She was on Facebook just sending people messages. Like, it was nasty. They would cut us off every day. Like, you can't send any more messages. You can't send any more messages. And that was Instagram. That was Facebook. They were just getting a little frustrated with us. We were in all the market groups. My perspective on like the city and who runs the city, if I want to print for people, I want to print for people who are the highest level inside the city. So right. I would go to the places where I knew that high level people would be at. So let's say like the hottest coffee shop, I'd befriend everybody at the coffee shop over there, get that kind of like environment going. Everyone knows where I am, what I do. And then anytime a high level person comes in there, that conversation gets brought up. I get those clients just off of word of mouth. I would do the same thing at the gyms and everywhere else, you know?
I love that aspect right there, because I think that when I first started, I was apprehensive. I was a little reserved, let's say, of like, oh, I'm not going to go after the biggest dog. You know, I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing first. Like, I want to make sure I can print 24 T's or whatever, you know, for somebody that's maybe down here or whatever, or maybe, you know, that wouldn't tell everybody if I screwed up, let's say. But like what I was listening to the swag episode that Printavo just put out, like he did the exact opposite, and it sounds like you did too, where you just went for the biggest and the best, because
right, like his first customer was Facebook or whatever.
Yeah, his first customer was Facebook, and his second customer was WeWork or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he went to, and just like you did, you went to places that are basically networked, that could refer you, that would say, hey, you should go to this guy or this girl. I don't know what your shop was called, but the two of you, they should go to your shop and place orders there. And so I think that people shouldn't be scared about that.
The nice thing about working with the big dog is that when they refer you to someone else, the person under them thinks your credibility is way greater. Because
right.
if that person's working with you, then you obviously got to be good enough to work with me. So I get the confidence.
You had the confidence to go there and just do it and say, I'll make this happen. You know what I mean? Like whatever it takes, like whatever order that they place, I'll make sure it's good. And I think that you just have to, I don't know, go for it.
Something that I think that a lot of people, and you guys have probably had this same conversation 1,000 times inside your podcast, but I had a healthy balance of like contract work to like my own retail clients. And so at first, and Ryan used to always tell me this, he's like, I would ask him for advice on like how to like be better at the things I was doing. I was just used to being like a bull and just charging my way into the room and just making it happen, but there's a formula and there's a science to like doing it right, and I know that Ryan, he's crazy, his businesses are all over the place, but there is a structure and a formula to how he does things and they keep growing. So I wanted to learn how to do it that way. And he's like, well, what's your niche? And I was like, I don't know. I don't have a niche. I just print for everybody, man. And he's like, you need to have a niche. Focus on getting a niche. And I never really understood that. But what was really cool is when I was doing contract work, I was getting projects from every style of printing. So whether it be halftone, spot color, schools or ABC plumbing, like there was all these different styles, and sometimes even like streetwear artists and stuff, like where they have really intricate designs. And so it really showed me like what I did and didn't like printing, so that once I was able to like weed out some of the contract work, and I knew what type of retail clients that were going to pay me full price. I knew what kind of work I wanted to look for and what I wanted to do that made me happy and made the most money. And so I kind of like through all the contract work I did, I was able to kind of bring down to like just narrow it down to a specific lane that I was like, these are the type of prints I like to do. So that was something that really helped me.
I fully agree with that. So this guy's shop you walked into, you said he had a manual and all this other stuff. How long did you stick with that gear until you leveled up and got something different?
So with that, I was manually printing for about a year, and I had made that first year, my wife and I generated $250,000 in our first year of printing. So like it felt good, right. But at the same time, I was standing at that press all the time. And it was like, all right, like we got cases piling up in the lobby, our shipping areas and receiving areas completely packed. Like there's cases of shirts everywhere. I'm one dude at the press. Like we got, what we asked for, but it was like, all right, now it's time to think of something else. And so I had been friends with Ryan, through my project, and he was doing the Long Beach convention in 2019 where they had like the Sublime people and all that there. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey man, come down. And I was like, cool. That's where I actually met him. And so I flew down to Long Beach, did that convention. And the way that I operate a lot is by manifesting things. And I know I've talked about it a lot, and manifesting is something that I do where I am very clear in my mind of like what I see and what I want. And the more clear I can get with it, the easy, like it seems like the faster it comes to me. And so I was like, I'm not going to get around any of these presses, these rock presses, just by being in this local area. I need to go to where they're at just so I can see them and like visualize them. And so I got really, really like familiar with those presses. And I had just got done reading the book. It was Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if you guys have read that. I'm sure it's a popular book, but there's a chapter in that book where the guy talks about needing $1 million and him having no way of getting it, but he knew he was going to have it within a week or 2 weeks, whatever it was. And so what he did was he put in the newspaper that he's looking for investors. He's going to have a speech on this specific day, and the investors are going to give him the money that he needs. To start this college he wanted to start. So what he did was on that day, he pitched it why he needed $1 million to a bunch of people. A lot of people didn't care about it. One person walked up to him, gave him the money, and that college actually still exists to this day. And so I kind of went with the same concept. I was running one night and I'm listening to this book and listening to this story. And I was like, fuck, I need like $150,000. Like, but I don't know where I'm going to get it from. And I just, fuck, man, I don't remember exactly how I did it, but I remember I was stoked on needing this money. And I just called a few people that I knew that were really well off. And I was like, look, this is an idea that I have. I want to take this project that I'm doing to this next level, and I need 150K. Well, one guy says, yeah, okay, I'm in. What do you need? How do we do this? And I told him everything I needed. I gave him the list of all the equipment I wanted and the business plan that came with it. And so he's like, all right, let me go back to the table. Let me see what I can do. And so he calls me back a few days later. He goes, hey, I found a press. I found a dryer, upgrader from everything you have. The shop's got all these other bells and whistles that they're going to throw in there as extras. And I was like, all right, let's check it out. So we flew down to California and we bought this press for $35,000, and it came with a dryer, all these other bells and whistles. I just flew down there with a bag of tools because I didn't know how to take these things apart. I just grabbed whatever was random in my shop, and I got a duffel bag full of just random tools. Flew out to Sacramento. I'm standing in front of this press, and I just start looking at it. I'm like, all right, I can take this off. That'll take that off. And I'm like trying to reverse engineer this thing. And I take it apart. I put it in a U-Haul truck, drive it back up to Idaho. I rebuild it in my shop the same day. From the moment I landed to the moment I went to sleep, the press was disassembled and reassembled states apart. And then I remember my buddy, he's like, all right, man, I'm gonna head back to Cali. He's like, and I just want to say, like, I see what you're doing here, man. I believe in everything you're doing. This one's on me. Take care, man. And he just left me with all that equipment.
Hell yeah.
No ties at all. He's like, I just believe in you, Richard. And so because of that, I had a rock press, and I went from a manual to an auto, and I started fucking crushing it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was really awesome, man.
Yeah. So what did you do next then? Were you just like, did you just run the auto yourself and your wife is still up front? Or
I didn't know any of the ROQ people. Like, even when I built the press, I didn't know anybody at ROQ. I just knew Ryan. And I would when I was building it, I was like, hey, this shit's kind of weird. What's up with this? And he's like, I get him on FaceTime. He's like, I don't know, try this. And I'm like, all right, it kind of works. He's like, all right, see you later, man. And so like, that's how that press got built. And it worked really, really well for me. Like, I had no formal training on it. I just figured it out. I just got in front of it and I just messed things up until I finally dialed it in. But once I had it dialed in, it was unstoppable, man. I was at that thing 24 hours a day. I love that thing.
That's awesome. So what's the next evolution in that story then? Because you don't have that anymore.
Well, I still haven't really talked about this, but I'm going to try to be as political as I can, just because I don't think the statute of limitations is up on this situation yet. But there were some caretakers that were watching our children that we were doing print jobs for as trade work. Like, hey, you watch our kids, we'll print your stuff. It adds up to about the same. We'll call it cool. We had our kids over there, and our kids came back to us saying that they were being hit by the teachers in the school and that they were being abused and withheld, like food withheld from them and all kinds of stuff. And we were like, what is this? No way. So we go over there.
You hear about that stuff all the time. Yeah.
So like, I don't know, like, it's just kids. Sometimes maybe they got mad about something they didn't get. So, they threw a fit, and this was what they said to it, so
right.
We wish we would have listened at that first time, but we kind of, knowing those people as well as we thought we did, we thought it was all good. And so time goes on again. And then again, my kid's like, hey, one of the teachers punched my youngest daughter in the head. And I was like, where did she punch her? And my daughter was in the bathroom. My other daughter walks up and she moves her bangs back, and there's a bruise right where she said she had punched her. And then I asked my daughter in the bath, I was like, hey, who punched you? And she said, the teacher did. And then, so I was just like, I was sick to my stomach, man. And so we pulled our kids out of there. got them out of that situation. And then we started asking other parents, and other parents were having similar situations. They said they were filing police reports on these people. They had pulled their kids out. And then I went online. I went on my Instagram and I just said what had been happening. And because we filed a police report, and they were like, oh, there's nothing going to happen within the next 18 months. So there's nothing I can tell you. I was like, 18 months? I was like, what about all these other kids that are in this facility getting abused? They're just going to happen for 18 months? I was like,
why
no way.
18 months? What the fuck?
That's just they say how long it takes. And so then I go online, I talk my shit. It gets like the whole area, like 7,000 views over like, and this wasn't when you can just go viral instantly, like with reels and shit now. This was like, if you got 7,000 views, you had to work for that shit. I had posted a story about what happened. It went nuts. Everybody was sending me messages about similar stories. They filed police reports. Nothing ever happened. And so we come to find out that there was family inside the police force that were basically like covering this stuff up. All these parents were coming all the time, and just cases getting dismissed. So we exposed a higher level of we've exposed a higher level. I want to call it corruption, man, because that's really what it was. They were all looking out for each other in this situation, between the detectives, the guys doing the lie detector tests, and like everybody in between, man. We were catching so many people up in lies. It was like, I can't believe this is my life right now. Yeah. And so there was one morning, Ryan had sent me a bulletproof vest because I had got so many death threats from these people, because they were connected with higher level people and a bunch of tweakers. And there was like all kinds of weird stuff going on. People trying to break into our house. There was people following us around.
Just like we were talking about earlier, Andy, Facebook, man, you can't fucking post anything on Facebook. People fucking go crazy.
Yeah, dude, this situation was like getting really bad, and I was getting death threats and all kinds of shit. And so Ryan had sent me a bulletproof vest, and I was driving around with this thing on a regular basis. And one morning, my wife and I was at the press setting up a job, and she's in front of the shop, and it's raining. And she's like, hey, she was sitting in her truck outside the shop. She's like, hey, come here. I need to talk to you about, I had a conversation with the detective, and we need to talk about this. So I go out in the truck. I'm sitting there with her. She was recording all these conversations she was having with all these people, and the guys, she has this detective on she's playing the video for me, and he's talking about like he wants to get me off the street because I'm a threat to society, and because I had gone to the news with this, dude, it was all over the place. I wasn't going to shut up at all, and so he wanted to pull me off the street. That was their next move, to either plant something on me to take me off the street, or whatever it was, they were going to get me to stop talking. That was their main goal. And as we're having this conversation, listening to this dude tell me the story while we're sitting in the truck, some creepy dudes come into my front doors. I had two glass doors, like a business, those little pull doors. And he's looking inside. And like I said, it's raining, and he's looking inside, and he's got a hoodie on. And I'm like, what's this fool doing? And my wife's looking at him. We're looking at him, and jump out like, what's up, man? What are you doing? How can I help you? And he's like, oh, is this a tattoo shop? And I was like, man, this shit ain't a tattoo shop. And then he goes in his hoodie pocket, and he's trying to pull something out of his hoodie pocket, but whatever it is that he's trying to grab a hold of, he can't get it because it's too big to pull out with his hand around whatever it is. And so I go to charge after him, or something that, dude, this is where it kind of gets weird, but I want to say, like, I go, or myself or my wife go after him, and he takes off running to another parking lot and jumps in a car that was in a completely different parking lot from where our shop was. And he takes off down the street, and I tell my wife, hey, go follow this dude. So she jumps in her truck. She's following this guy, filming it. And this was early in the morning, and they're flying through like stoplights and stop signs. And then eventually they get to like a school zone, and there was people unloading their kids and all that shit. So my wife backed off, and the guy just took off. And then I went over to the police department. When my wife got back to the shop, I was like, I got to go deal with this detective guy. Like, this shit, I'm done here, man. I'm over this shit. And because it wasn't going to ever get any better. It was continuously getting, every day was something crazier and crazier was happening. And so I go to the detective. I'm like, look, dude, I'm done here. I'm done talking. You guys in your weird child abuse ring, like, it's all yours, man. I'm out of here. And I remember him just saying, good. Now, I'm not saying he said it specifically to me saying about his child abuse ring or anything like that, but to me shutting up. When I agreed to finally shut up, he was like, good. And then I looked at him, and I was like, man, we're not safe here anymore. We got to go. And so I get back outside the police department. I talk to my wife. I'm like, we have to go. Like, there's something bad is about to fucking happen.
Right.
And so I hit up a few people I know in the area that are rock shop owners. I said, I need this number in the next 2 hours. It was a deal you couldn't refuse. And so I had somebody come up, drop the cash off, and they emptied my shop out. From the moment I made that call, 4 hours later, my shop was completely empty, everything gone. I was calling clients to pick up their empty boxes of the shit that hadn't been printed yet. People whose shit was ready, come get it right now or it's going to be gone forever. And then I left. We went to our place. We packed whatever we could in my Escalade and my wife's Suburban, and we got the fuck out of there. That was it. We just lost everything we had built up for the last 2 years in a heartbeat. And we had to go, and we laid low for like 2 or 3 months. And then Ryan had stayed in touch with me the whole time. I got a burner phone, and I just sent him my number, like just to stay in touch with that one dude. I didn't talk to anybody else but Ryan. And he was like, look, man, I got something for you, bro. Look, we'll fly you. You can live wherever you want. I don't need to know where that is. We'll fly you around the country to just do these things that we need you to do. And then so after a couple of months of like just laying low, I was like, all right, I need to get back out and keep moving again. I can't let this shit hold me back forever.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Time out. One, that's a crazy fucking story, and I was stressed listening to it.
It's stressful I think I'm saying sweating. This shit because I actually lived it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine. And then two, do you want us to, like air that part, all of that, because we can cut right before you started telling that story.
It's fine. There's a lot of people that don't know that just wonder what the fuck happened to me. You know what I mean? Because I didn't tell anybody anything, and all of a sudden I was just working for ROQ, and all of a sudden I wasn't printing anymore. So I don't know.
It makes sense. I mean, you didn't give anybody away or anything. It's just like a crazy story.
Oh God, that was heavy to talk about.
So where did you go then? You moved.
So we laid low in Nebraska. There was an associate we had out there, and we just laid low, man. Nobody knew nothing, man. I was just there, and it was so boring. I was like, because I can't
no
stop
offense to
moving.
Anybody in Nebraska.
No, it wasn't Nebraska. It was like I went from like having this business that just was thriving and booming, and I had connections and people and moving and shaking and printing, and like I was going, and then all of a sudden, same with my wife. She was like, we had sat there and just stared at each other all day with nothing to do for months.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if you've been to Omaha, I don't know where you were in Nebraska.
That's where I was.
I've been to Omaha, and they have this old market there that's really dope. Like there's tons to do. I don't know if you ever made it there, but it's like the place to be. And if you're in Nebraska,
they had like a fair thing that was down there in Papillion or something like that. But I don't know. I didn't.
But it just doesn't seem like Richard's scene. The fucking corn shuckers union.
Yeah, the corn was only about like that tall, and then when I left, it was probably that tall because it had just got it going.
So, what's the next opportunity then? You said Ryan said, "Hey, come do this thing. I don't care where you live."
The ROQ thing. I talked to my wife. I'm like, "Look, if we could live anywhere we wanted to live, where would you want to live?" And she's like, "I want to live by the beach." And we're from Southern California. You know what I mean? Like Huntington Beach, Newport, San Diego, like that's us all day, Oceanside. And so we've been in Idaho so damn long. We just like for like 3 or 4 years by this point, and we're just like they're like, "Oh, come to Idaho. You get all 4 seasons. It's so beautiful." And like I realized that there's 2 seasons. There's winter and almost winter. That's all they have.
Right.
And so like you're either in winter or you're preparing for winter. So it's like, if
is that the way it is for you, Dylan? Did that hit home?
Yeah, that's 100% on the nose.
Yeah. So for sure, man. And so we went to Pensacola. We were living like on the beach, Pensacola Beach, and so I was just flying out of the Pensacola airport, and then ROQ was like having me go to the warehouse a lot, which is in Claremont, which is about 6 hours away from Pensacola if you're driving. And so I would drive back and forth on Monday. Monday morning, I would leave Pensacola like 2 a.m. and then I'd get to the warehouse at like 8 or 9 in the morning. And then I would leave at like 4 p.m. and get home at like 10 at night. But then I'd have to like Saturdays, like the only day I get to hang out with my family, and Sunday I got to wash my clothes, get everything ready because I'm leaving to go back to Claremont for the whole week again. And so I was doing this for like a month solid, and I'm like, this is stupid. I was like, can't I just go live in Claremont and not have to do this? And so we figured it out, and I just went to Claremont, and then I was full-time as a team member for ROQ instead of a contractor. And from there, that's where this ROQ story started, with me just kind of rebuilding the machines, cleaning them up, you know.
Is that what you were doing when you went there? You were just like kind of a tech at the place?
100%. So I was hired on as a technician. I was like, that's still technically like my position, but I do other things inside the organization. You know, I wear a few different hats. Not that I'm like running anything by any means, but just I do different things in different departments. And that's where I feel like that's kind of like where the entrepreneurial thing kind of helps me, like where I'm not just doing only one thing. That's all I'm good for, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Richard, were you going to say something else, Dylan? Because I have a question.
No, go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So we have a lot of listener questions, but before we get there, I have a question. So we had on Friday, I had some service work done, and we had a tech here, and I was embarrassed when he pulled the covers off. He worked on two pieces of equipment. One of them was an auto and one of them was a dryer. And I got embarrassed when he pulled the covers off because how dirty it was. And I mean, I think we do a pretty good job of cleaning our presses throughout the day and cleaning below them, you know, and we've been busy. I get it. And so they're not as maintenance maybe as they should be and clean as they should be. But when he pulled that off, I was like, oh shit, you know, that doesn't look good. And we're better than that. And so it made me think there's a lot of different people now. And I think we got away from the maintenance, you know, the routine maintenance, let's say, and cleaning. And so my question to you is, one, do you guys, and when you had that shop, did you have that built in as like a weekly thing and a list of maintenance? I mean, M&R it does a pretty good job. They have it on the screens, let's say, and it alarms, and it'll say, you know, it counts down for you, like this maintenance needs to be done or this maintenance needs to be done. It tells you. Mm-hmm. However, you can snooze it. Okay. And so that's what a lot of people do every single day. I don't know how many fucking times they're snoozing things, right?
Or just reset all the alarms and not actually do anything. Yeah.
You can go in and you can reset it to 100% because it ticks down, you know, to where it needs to be. And so you can reset and not actually do it. I'm not saying anybody's doing that, but I do know that the snooze is hit. I've seen it. I've even hit the snooze because we're like, no, we don't have time right now. We got to print this thing. So my question to you is how do you get that maintenance in? And also being a tech, and I don't know if you're only on new installs, but if you're also going on, you know, if you're going there to fix something or replace a part or whatever, real talk, on a scale of 1 to 10, how dirty are shops? And when you get into it, when you get into somebody's press, do you tell them, like if it is dirty or something, do you let them know that this isn't either A, being maintenance correctly, or B, needs to be cleaned better? I mean, do you hold back because you don't want to insult them? You know what I mean?
Well, I would rather be honest with them because your equipment is a big investment and it is the heart of your operation. So if that is not operating at its highest capacity, then, you know, it does you no good. So, I see a lot of dirty equipment, a lot of dirty equipment. There's some shops where like, even like the electrical is like hanging above my head. And I'm like, dude, I don't even want to operate in here. Like, I feel like I'm going to die. And so, my best advice, man, is anytime you especially for ROQ, at least, you know, shout out to my ROQ people, but when you're buying a ROQ, it's no different than you buying a Ferrari, and you are buying the Ferrari of auto presses. So it's like, how would you treat that thing? You know what I mean? Like if you really bought a Ferrari, you would really make sure the wheels are always clean. You would make sure the hood looks nice. The tires are always shined. The interior is vacuumed out. You would make sure this thing looks pristine at all times. And so you have to have that same mentality with your equipment. I mean, there's shops like, let's say 12 ounce with Allen, like, it looks like a museum all the time. but they're still doing production. They just have good cleaning habits. So if something does make a mess, they take care of it immediately and don't allow it to continue to build up. A lot of shops, depending on the caliber of people that are working there, if the individual themselves isn't really a clean person, then, it's kind of expected that their workstation would kind of reflect the same thing as their personal habits. So I always encourage them to, I'll give them like a maintenance cycle. I mean, I have videos out there explaining how to clean your press and how to do this and how to do that. I'll send them those type of resources so they can look at, and I'll teach them like, look, this is how you would maintain this or maintain that. But then there's some shops, they really don't even care about none of it. They're just like, look, this machine needs to just produce. I don't care what it looks like, anything like that.
Right.
And, I mean, I guess it just depends on the shop itself.
Depends on the owner.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for some listener questions?
Yeah.
All right, let's go through these. What is this? Sick ass rat tail asks, if you won the lotto like 100 million plus, is there any possession that you would still keep, or would you just start fresh?
That's a good question. I don't even think that I would keep a percentage of it and probably try to do really good with the rest of it. To be honest with you, I don't really care about having $100 million to myself. You know what I mean? But as far as keeping any possessions, I don't know. Some of the cool t-shirts I've gotten, from all these shops, so you can't buy those. You know what I mean? Those are like collector's pieces I received.
You got to get that caddy back.
Oh, well, believe it or not, just a few months after I sold it, it burned to the ground. The guy got some carburetor work done, and I guess whatever he did, it lit that thing on fire, and it no longer exists. And I had that cart for like 10 years.
Damn.
Oh, dang.
I was really disappointed.
Let's see. Next question is from Darren Ritz. You've helped so many people across the board. So which area do you feel like you've made the biggest impact in other people's life, printing or health?
The most impact, I would say mental health more than anything, helping people with kind of perspective that I offer from my own experiences.
I agree. I think the health thing, especially with us and like the whole like rise and grind thing, like it's really helped me stay like accountable.
Yeah. I
you know what I mean? Like you fucking in my face every goddamn day telling me to get out there.
Well, it's only going to make you better.
It's helping me get out there.
Sure.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like it's that alone is like changing things.
Yeah. I know how it feels to be on the other side of that. You know what I mean? And I know that being active on a daily basis, I feel way better. And I know that anybody else would.
Okay. Westcliff Inc. asks, what's the fastest Richard has gone in his Bentley? Did he let his friends eat burritos or pizza in it?
Food, I don't even think that was just known etiquette to not bring that type of food in the car. So I don't think that was ever an issue that I could think of. And the fastest I ever went was, I think I did like 180 on the 15 freeway in California.
That's lose your license, go to jail speed.
That's lose everything, your life, all that.
I can't believe that your car, having all those kids, I can't believe your car didn't smell like French fries, because my car smelled like French fries all the time.
You don't take the kids in the Bentley.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, actually, my kids were really young at the time. So it really wasn't like that big of a deal. But what really did bother me was my daughter's car seat was plastic at the bottom, and it would cut grooves into the seat, the leather seat, that Italian leather,
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Mystery Inc. Co. asks, Tilley, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a good question, Josh. That one, I see myself on a farm, very self-sufficient. I see myself owning a pretty big establishment as far as like a gym goes. I see myself kind of ministering, not necessarily in a religious way, more of like a guidance for youth. I really like to see the younger kids kind of instill a better mindset and morals early on in life than someone like me who didn't figure it out till I was in my 30s. So I think if I could focus on the youth, I could do my part to make the next generation a little bit better.
Hell yeah. Let's see. King Screen asks, tell us about Core 4, what it is and how it has impacted your life.
Core 4 is something that I practice every day that it kind of gives you a roadmap to your day. So you're focusing on 4 core areas of your life: your mind, your body, your relationships, and your business. And by focusing on these 4 things, it gives you what you would call a balanced life. You know, a lot of people like to use that word balance. So like 4 legs of a table, you got to imagine each leg. One's your mind, one's your body, one's your relationships, one's your business. And if you're feeding each one of these areas every single day, you're not actually taking anything from any of these areas, and you're living a balanced life. You're taking care of your mind. You're learning something new every day, whether it be a podcast or you're reading or meditating. You're practicing gratitude. Your body, you're focusing on your body every day with your diet. You're focusing on your diet. You're focusing on your physical fitness, anything body related. So drinking a gallon of water. And then when in your relationship category, you're focusing on what you would do like with your wife. Like, let's say like, you know, when we were kids, we used to write little flirtatious letters to girls, and they would love that. And we loved it in return when they would write us back. So it's like, there was a part of us that kind of stopped doing that as we got older. So like, where we're not writing our wife a love letter anymore or anything like that. So you just send out thank you notes or love letters, or do things intentionally with your children on a very specific level. And sometimes I'll just text random people, like 3 random people. I'll pick them out of my phone, like, hey, just checking in with you, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope all is good. You know, just try to continuously put deposits into these accounts. And then the last category is your business. What is one thing that you can move your business, move the needle forward on your business today? Well, for some people, let's say we're starting ground level. Let's come up with a name. Let's try to trademark that. Let's get an LLC, an S Corp, C Corp, whatever. Let's get that filed. Let's get whatever the needle movers for the day. Okay, I need to find a new vendor for blanks. All right, that's the one thing I can do today to move the needle forward on the business. All right, set up that website. Let's put that, just those specific tasks to move the needle forward on whatever your revenue streams are.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
If you you just said come up with a name. If you ever do start this gym, it should be called Steve Thomas Fitness, I think. Or Mike Jones,
Mike
maybe.
Jones, man. And then the girl's name was Tori Khan.
C-O-N, like Khan?
I think it was C-O-N-N, actually, is they had.
That's the con. Gavin asks, how many tattoos do you have now, and how many more will you get?
I like to say that I have 1 tattoo. They're kind of all,
it's just
they're
your
all
whole
connected.
body.
Yeah. So it goes from the top of my head all the way down. I had them on my face before, but I've gotten lasered. My whole torso, sides, all the way down to my waist, arms, hands, fingers, legs, feet.
I want to get one lasered. First of all, do you have to go like 5 or 6 or 10 times?
You have to go a few times, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I watched it. So like,
just cut it off.
Like legit, seriously, I watched some videos on it. It's amazing, like what they do and how they do it. I didn't even know that you could really do it.
Yeah, so I had some stuff on my forehead here and on my cheeks. I had script, and I had it all taken off just because it was like a part of my life that I no longer was associated with. So I wanted to get rid of that stuff.
Were you just like someone who's that covered? Were you just like, fuck it, it's every weekend, I'm just going to go to the tattoo place and get some shit done?
Well, the dude that was my partner in the first clothing company was actually a tattoo artist. And so since he was my roommate, I lived on his couch, his futon in the spider-infested garage.
You were his skin practice?
Yeah, man. It was just like I was on a mission to have the most, and he was on a mission to be a part of the guy who had the most. And so like every day it was just like fill it up little by little. It wasn't like where I just sat there for 8-hour sessions, you know, like that rarely happened.
Right.
Well, I want to I have a tramp stamp, and I want to
That was my first one.
Because I don't like, but the one I want to get taken off isn't because I don't like it, or sorry, I don't, if it turned out great, I would want it still on, but it just, whoever did it didn't do a very good job, and it bled out. I don't know if that It's the right
Yeah.
word for it, but it's
They blew it
Not-
out. Is what?
not
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Blew it out. Yeah. Too much ink
Yeah,
or
they just
whatever they
pushed in
did. It
too
just
hard.
didn't work out. And so so I want to fix it. Do something else there.
Get it covered up.
Cool. I thought about cover up, but then, you have to go kind of big and something that's really going to cover it up. And I know somebody that lasered, instead of going all the sessions to laser it back to nothing or to what it was before, you can get it lasered once and then cover it up because
Yeah, just lighten
lighten
it
it
up.
up.
yeah, exactly. Is that all the questions, Dylan? Is that it?
That was it for the listener questions. All we got is quick takes. Well, do you have any questions for us or shop hacks you want to say?
Man, I'm saving all my shop hacks. Sorry. I got to make videos.
Okay, cool.
I got a whole pipeline of them.
Yeah,
Question
let's
for
do.
you guys. Why do you do what you do? What is your motives
For
your
our shops or for the
life, like the way
podcast
you
or
designed
what?
your life? Why do you keep doing it the way you're doing it? Have you ever thought about living a different life?
Oh God. Yes is the short answer for that. But I've kind of, and a lot of people know this about me, but I've kind of made my shop and my existence and everything here around, I love this industry. I love everything about it. I like the art aspect. I like the community aspect. I like that all my friends work here. Like I hired my friend, like I made a space where I can hire my friends and we can basically do fun shit all day long and take that money and just do more life and fun shit. So that's kind of my whole existence, is to make a fun, safe space where we can all get paid well to do the shit that we want to do. And it just so happened to be screen printing. So doing the podcast is kind of also part of that, where it's just more, like you said, if you love something, you dive into it. So getting to talk to someone like you and hear your story and how you did it inspires me to want to do more for myself as well.
What about you, Andy?
When I started this shop, it wasn't to be the biggest shop. And I think that's probably maybe the wrong way to look at it, because, when I listen to some people who like different podcasts, or if I read, sometimes when I'm reading a book, it'll say, oh, well, your goals have to be massive, you've got to shoot for the moon or whatever. But I never did that. Like starting this, it was just 2 people. And my goal was just to, do good work, so produce something good. And like Dylan said, I ditto that, to be creative. It has like this great, you talk about balance earlier. Screen printing has a great balance of creativity and business. We're lucky enough that we can, there's art to it. I think there's art actually even to being an entrepreneur. There's a certain art to that. But like I didn't start this to be the biggest, best, most profitable company in the world. So yeah, I come here every morning, and I continue to, because I never know what my day is going to be. It's always,
is it just because you design your day to be that way? Like, have you thought about living completely different? Like, has there something inside you that
100%. So I watched a movie once. It's called Nomad. I don't know if it was very good, but it's good in that it made me think differently. It made me think of like, wait a second, like I've spent so much time, so much of my time on screen printing and on the shop, and I could have spent it on doing something else. Maybe something that would help people more. Maybe something that I don't know. I could have been living in my van in Maui, surfing every day and like trying to get by selling snow cones or something, and so like what, and that's that.
You would have been a creeper in a van in Maui selling snow cones.
Yeah, like, but for real, or they call it ice or Maui ice or whatever they do, but it's they line up to buy that stuff, and maybe that's what a life that would have been,
Well, I think that a lot of people. I asked that because to say this is, people tend to think that because you live a certain life that it has to stay that way. Like there's there's no way to change it. Like, oh, I have to do it this way, I have to live this way because this is how I built my life. But they don't realize that you have the power to literally, like, in the blink of an eye, change everything about you. I can literally stand up and walk away right now, go get a ticket to Thailand and go live in Thailand, forget my family, forget everything. This phone could still be running, and I would just go be a completely different person in the matter of a few minutes. I can book a flight and take off. You know, like, you have that power to do that, but a lot of people get stuck in their current situation and current, like, perspective, and they just can't see any way out of it. And that's why I asked, like, you know, with my collections, although on the outside I looked monetarily successful, I looked incredibly successful to anybody who was looking on the outside in, but inside I was dying. I just wanted out of it so bad. And me ripping myself out of California to go to Idaho, I was able to get out of that. And unfortunately, when you know, rebirth is ugly, man. Like, I had to go through all these things to change my circumstances, but they completely changed into doing something where I'm actually feeling fulfilled in everything that I'm doing every day. You know, and I think that that's why I asked, like, do you feel like what you're doing is, if you were to sit in a rocking chair, you know, in your 80s, looking back at your life, is this how you would think that you would have liked to have lived your life?
Oh,
Yes.
yes. My answer is yes.
So
to that
far,
too,
yes.
yeah. But I think that, like you say, there comes a point, you know, I didn't build this business for an exit. You know, that's when I started it, I never thought about leaving it. You know, this was what I'm building. I think there comes a point, though, it's where you do think, okay, so has it run its course, and when do you exit? In other words, like, when do you dip out and say that's it? You know, because is it when you're on top? You know, a lot of people, like, absolutely do that. You know, they walk away on top. You know, even with a giant contract staring at them in the face, let's say. And I'm not saying I'm on top. I'm just saying right now it's the momentum is good. You know, this place is profitable, and I still enjoy it every day. But when do you walk away? That's a really tough question, because is it when you hope when it's not too late, right?
What do you think, Dylan?
When do you walk away from it?
Yeah. When do you say, you know what, I've done what I can do here, I'm ready to move on?
Probably when I can stop being, not to sound cheesy, but just like when I stop being inspired by what I'm doing. Like, I feel like I'm always learning new things, or I'm getting involved in different things, and I'm learning, I'm traveling, you know, I get that customer I've always wanted, and it still gives me those, like, you know, that drive feeling, that like tingle of like a new big project to work on and stuff. I fucking live for that shit. Like, you know,
do you wake up in the morning like excited to get into the shop?
Yes, every day. Like, I literally, like, I could be home like tonight and I'll just like be like, man, there's some stuff at the shop I kind of want to do. Like, yeah, it's not like a compulsion. It's just like I just want to be here. I just want to be doing things. Like, you know, also with like it being my building too, there's like constantly things that like me and my dad are just like fixing or renovating or whatever, just because it fucking hypes me up to like work on it. You know what I mean? It's like, I never want that shit to end. And we were talking about it on like an episode, like 2 episodes ago, where it's like, you get all the equipment you want, you get your building fully renovated. Like, what do you do now? And I'm just like, fuck, should I just die? Like, I don't know what to do, because like I've got a lot of shit done. And it's like, no, I just started another project. Like, I started the Tea Club thing, and I'm, you know, getting involved in some more industry stuff that I can't talk about yet. And like, I just work on better marketing things, or we hire Kevin Baumgart to come in and help us develop sales processes to where we can go after different markets we've never gone after before. It's like, I just pivot into doing something else that's going to help the business grow and get me back into that mode of, I never left really, but like keep me in that mode of being inspired.
I like that.
That's really tough though. I mean, this is my identity. You know, I've done this for so long at this point. I identify as a screen printer, and as I own a screen printing shop, and that's kind of who I am. I think about it when I'm not here, you know, think about it when I'm driving in my car. And so it's like, it's super crazy to how much I think about this shop. And that's not to say though, that if I left and did something else, that I wouldn't feel the same about that. You know, I wouldn't be completely involved and all in and immersed on whatever project that would be, you know? So
I guess you just got to realize in it if you're ready or not when the time is right.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, let's do some quick takes.
Okay.
Andy, take it off.
All right. So I have a feeling I know your answer to this, but it is one of our questions. What is your favorite pre-workday ritual?
Dude, getting it in the gym, man. Like that right there. Like if that's the first thing you do every day, like, come on. Like it's game on from that point on.
Do you have a gym that's like right near you where it's convenient to go to?
It's about a mile away. Yeah.
It's awesome. And you go there every day?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, right now I'm doing this 30-day push-up thing. And so I've just been I have an alarm that goes off every hour that tells me to do 25 push-ups. So I have to get to 3,000 push-ups.
There's a press assistant here who, after every job, does 20 push-ups.
Good.
That's their
So
thing.
he does 20 push-ups a day?
Well, if he's on the wrong press, it could be, yeah.
Right. Okay.
We had this thing in the collection world where there was a group of us closers. And so we had our list of reoccurring payments every month. And so we knew the day before that, hey, I got $5,000 rolling through tomorrow between all these different transactions. And so everybody would have their list. And at 4 a.m, we'd run all the payments. So we knew who declined and who didn't go through. And so we had this like running game with the closers where every decline you got, you had to do 20 push-ups. So at the end of the month, whoever was the most swole was the one that was the brokest.
I don't like that game. I don't want to do any push-ups.
Yeah, so if you're super buff, you're poor.
Let's see. Are you watching any good movies or shows right now or books? You're a book guy, so.
Yeah, book-wise, I'm going to dive back into Atomic Habits. I feel like I just need there's some things that I'm trying to accomplish right now that I feel like if I just tweaked a couple habits that I have, that I could feel a little bit better and get these things done.
Do you watch much TV?
Not necessarily. The stuff that I watch is like more spiritual related. So it's like, I don't like really watching TV I don't watch any sports. I don't have like a movie. I don't have like a TV show that I follow on. I used to, but I've since probably the last few years just don't even pay attention to TV. So if it is anything that I'm looking into, it's something that I'm specifically looking forward to learn about.
Right. Like a motivation thing.
Sometimes, yeah.
Andy.
I'm interested to hear the answer to this. So which trait from your parents would you say has made the greatest impact on your career? You know, you said that you spoke about how, you know, it wasn't until your 30s that you got a lot of stuff straightened out or figured out, you know, and that you want to work with youth. And so what do you think that trait is for you?
My parents have like incredibly terrible habits. So I can't say that there's anything like really specific, but my stepfather's work ethic, he's a Mexican dude and he works his ass off. And when I worked for him, when I was like 18 to like 20, somewhere in that range, he's a roofer. And so I was a roofer for a few years and I hated every single day. I hated working for him. I thought he was an asshole. And, but it really showed me how to work and like be productive at a high level. And like these guys go from whistle to whistle and they don't stop, you know what I mean, until you tell them to. And I feel like it showed me how to work like that, you know, and so when I work, you know what I mean? And that's why.
You know, I think that, so when I wrote that or when I asked this question, I think to myself, well, you know, maybe there would be an answer just like that. Like my parents had mainly terrible habits. And I also think that while it's true that, you know, you model or you have role models and your parents are just that, you see them every day and you see how they behave and act and you learn from that. It's also true that, at least for me it was, because I had stepdads too, multiple stepdads. And for me, not at one time, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
I was trying to hold it back together. The first thing you said, and then
kinda
you
came
said,
out wrong.
I had like 10 stepdads at the same time.
"Oh man."
But my mom's was widowed the very first time, and then was married 3 times after that. So she got it right the first time, and then had trouble after that. And I would say that I didn't model myself after those guys. In fact, I flipped it and I did the opposite, because it was like their behavior I didn't like. You know what I mean? So you can grow up and witness behavior and say, wait a second, that's how I don't want to be. Also, it's not always the case that you're turning out exactly like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do that. Like even now, like there's characteristics of people that I see, like let's say someone who doesn't talk negatively about somebody behind somebody else's back. Like I'll recognize when they're doing something like that, you know, and I'm like, you know, I really like that about that person, and I'll start doing that. I'm like, you know what? I think that I thought highly of them for doing that thing, so I'm going to start doing that thing.
Right.
You know, and then there's people who are like talking shit behind someone's back like crazy, and I'm like, I don't want to be like that guy. So I will learn from that exact same situation. That's yeah. So I'll learn from both sides, just like you said. Like there's things that I'll pick up that, damn, I really like that, and then things like I really don't like that, and I'm not going to do that either.
Right. How do you unwind after work?
I don't know. I don't think I really need to unwind. I don't think I get wound up. So I fucking love doing what I do. So it's not like I'm like, God, I hate the boss. He's really riding my ass. Like I don't live like that. Like, so I don't know. Like,
Right.
I maybe work for my dad. I probably would have punched a tree every time I came home. Like, but I mean, I don't feel like that, you know, when I leave.
Right.
A lot of times I want to go back to what I'm doing.
Well, what are you doing this weekend? You said you were just taking a chill weekend. What's a chill sound like for you?
A lot of times I like to spend on the beach, man. I like to ground my feet. You know, a lot of us, we have these phones. We're surrounded by this 5G and these like Wi-Fi signals and all this shit. And it just stays in our bodies. And so when you ground your feet, you release all those positive ions, and you feel better, man. Like it's what it's intended for. But that's what I like to do. I like to disconnect and just recharge, like from nature.
Right, not from devices.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like
sleep,
I mean, I guess it's the same. Like I'm not here getting wound up, hating my day and getting stressed out. Sometimes I definitely am more stressed than others. But like when I get home, you know, I want to have something to eat, and then I love going for a walk. You know, I love being outside, because I've been inside most of the day, and I want to go outside, just sort of like what you said, although we don't have a beach here. And so I go and put some sky above my head, and hopefully I catch a sunset, and I feel like I'm, you know, with nature.
It's the same thing though. You're getting energy from the sun. You know, you're getting outside. If you notice that you're wanting to leave the environment you created for yourself to go escape that into a natural environment. We have everything all
exactly
backwards.
me right now.
Yeah.
It's like I have this place that's amazing, but it's also amazing to like get the fuck away from it and go walk around the lake. Like I do it every day now, at least once, if not twice a day. And it's been
balance.
so good.
Yeah. I mean, we spend more time under like these roofs and in, you know, artificial light than we really do getting powered by the sun like we're supposed to be, you know?
Right.
We can move to the desert and have our shops outside, you know, because we wouldn't have to worry about it getting rained on or whatever, snowed on in our case, right? Too
hot. I like it here where like when it's not winter, we're preparing for winter.
It's two seasons.
It's winter and almost seasons. Winter.
Right.
All right. What is for dinner tonight?
Tonight, I am going to be, we do a lot of plant-based food here at home. So when I'm on the road, it's sometimes a little bit more challenging for me to eat plant-based. But this evening, we make these things that are like, they're supposed to look like chicken, but they're not. They're these like spicy chicken patty looking things, I guess, but they're made out of all plants. And they're actually better. They taste way better than actual chicken.
You make them at home, homemade, or you buy them frozen?
We buy them.
Yeah. I've I do the same thing sometimes.
The person who asks to eat that always says it tastes better than chicken because
No, it
that's
really
the only way
does.
they can eat it.
No, well, I mean, it's supposed to emulate chicken. You know what I mean? So, but it's
Like
it's
a texture.
I guess, yeah, maybe even like the flavor itself too. But it really, it tastes better. Like I make tons of smoothies. Like I live, you know, I try to put food that's in my body. Like anything I put in there is electric food. So I like to say this, like to a lot of people when they're asking about diet, it's eat God's food, not human food. When you're eating human food, you're eating processed, you're eating just, you don't even know what they do to this food sometimes, man. It's so gnarly. And so with like, if you're eating God's food, you're eating fruits, you're eating like organic, you're eating the way it's supposed to be, not the way that this matrix designed it to be, which puts you in a sick state, which puts you into the pharmaceutical business. And then that's a whole thing in itself. And that's a whole nother conversation
right there. Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. I don't even want to go there. So just keep your body in a high alkaline state. Disease can't live in a body that's in high alkaline. It can only live in an acidic environment. So if you're eating foods that cause your cells and your pH balance in your body to become acidic, then you're opening yourself up to disease. If you're in a high alkaline state, your energy's high, you're eating life force energy food, and you will never, I haven't remember last time I've been to the doctor. I don't remember when I broke my leg. That's when last time I went to the doctor. That was fucking, I don't even know how long ago, but even before that, like just eat clean and you'll feel fine.
It makes me feel like a piece of shit when I say I want to eat, I don't know, something horrible for myself tonight.
Dude, you don't know what's in that shit. Like in like ground beef and stuff, especially ground beef, man. Like, again, that's a whole nother conversation. That's nothing to do with what we're talking about here today, but it is all bad.
On that note, thanks for coming on, Tilley. We appreciate it, man. It's really good to have you on.
That went everywhere.
Yeah, but seriously though, thank you. Thanks for making it happen at home on your iPhone. I don't really care how you were on. It was just fun to have you on. So
yeah, man, I'm grateful for this opportunity, man. It's been a long time coming, I think, and you know, I appreciate it, dude. Seriously.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And can you, when you do check in and send those 3 texts, send one to me and Dylan one time, just a hello, and
hello.
That made me feel good. Yeah,
you got it. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna text you. He goes, now that I have your number, I'm gonna text you every day. And I waited the next day for a text, and he didn't text. So I was just like this abandoned redheaded stepchild.
Appreciate it, Tilley. Have a good night, man.
Later, guys.